Hello, hello. I have been talking to myself because I thought I hit the go live button, but I did not. Oops. We were doing some longer sprints tonight because I still haven't eaten dinner yet and I need to do that. And I pre filmed some footage of me reading these books behind me, actually, so I could use it for some TikTok quotes. So I'll be working on that during this first sprint. And then hopefully I'll read a little bit of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. At this very moment, I just have not felt the want to read. So I have been watching old episodes of MasterChef instead, which is fun, but not so great when I'm trying to finish my 13th book of the month. And I would like to do that. So let's get on with our first sprint. As you pop in, let me know what you're doing down in the comments. Would love to see it. Let me know what you're reading. And I will see you guys all in 50 minutes. Hello. I had a very productive sprint. I'm actually saving my last TikTok draft right now. Oh, that is so loud. I'm so sorry. But that's what I worked on. I am so bad at having my TikToks like ready to go. And I've decided that I want to be better about it. So I just batched 3 of them for the 3 Rebel Blue Ranch books. Nope, point that way. There we go. That are out. I have the first 2. I've read the 3rd one. It comes out on Tuesday, and I'm so excited for everybody to finally get to read it. Ah, it's so good. It's called Lost and Lassoed. I got to read an arc of it from NetGalley. So thank you, Dow Press, for giving me that because I can't stop talking about it. It's basically most of my TikTok posts right now, and I'm not ashamed in the least bit. I do need to work on a 4th one for a different series. I really want to post about Low Everett's baseball series. I think I have those books nearby. Ooh. Yeah, I have Calling It Safe. This is the 3rd book in the series, I want to say. I'm so bad about knowing that. Let's see. Yeah, this is the 3rd one, and I just read Force Play, which is the 4th one, and that's the one I wanted to post about because I feel like more people should be reading it. This is I think my favorite of the series, but Force Play is a close second. And it deals with some heavier topics, so I think people kind of shy away from it, but it's such a good story, and she handles those topics so well, so it doesn't feel like the book is like on a downer the whole time, which I really appreciated. So had a good time with that, and so I really want to. Oh, I forgot this had art in it. I cannot show that on camera. But yeah, I want to make a post about that, and then I think I am actually finally ready to read The Very Secret Society of Regular Witches because I just have not been in the reading mood the last couple of days. But I really want to finish that book before the end of the month, which is, now. And I'm liking it so far. I'm having a very good time. I think, on chapter 10 or 11. Yeah, I'm at the beginning of chapter 11, and I think that Mika is about to take one of the witches she's responsible for out for the first time. They haven't left the manor that they live at in 2 years, which is so wild, but it's just because they haven't had control of their magic. So she's about to take one of them out for, I think, like a fish and chip situation or something. They wanted to do a bookstore, and her guardians were like, this is too much. Or no, they are going to go to the bookstore. They are going to go to the bookstore. I love that. I love little reader references in books. So I'm excited to see that. I really enjoy the grumpy librarian guy in this story. He's clearly going to be the male love interest, and so far he's just straight up grumpy. But what I really love so far is how annoyed he is that Mika grew up and entirely isolated with no one to really love her. Every time there's like the slightest mention of that, he gets so gruff, but like not at her. Like he will just randomly say like the sweetest things. Like she was talking about how she's so used to being alone, and he's like, "It should never be like that. You should never be alone." And it's like, she's so good. It's so good. So I want to read it. I just mentally have not been in a my brain's like take a rest, but I'm like, no, I need to read. I also really want to knit a little bit, and so it'd be good to pop the audiobook on, have my headphones handy, or I might just play it on my phone speakers because my head kind of hurts a little bit and my headphones put a lot of pressure up here. But I think I'm going to listen to that and knit a little bit on this next sprint, which should start in 45 seconds. So get ready. We're doing another long one, and then we'll do one more after that, and then we're going to call it a night because I only have 3 hours of sprinting in me. I can't do a marathon 6-hour sprint like we did last time, and I have work tomorrow. I kind of wish I had done these sprints tomorrow, but I wanted to do them on Halloween because why not be a little bit festive, So we're going to do that. We're going to have a little Halloween-y sprint and have a good time together. Hello, hello. How was your sprint? I got to page 147 and I started on page 117. So not bad because I also was messing around with some TikTok drafts. So pretty solid sprint. Hello, welcome. Hero of the Ages. Who's that by? Oh, is that a Mistborn book from Brandon Sanderson? Hi. Okay. I'm having a really good time with this book. I'm glad I decided to continue on with the audio. I have been playing like a little game on my phone as I've been listening, and I am perfectly content. Okay. Almost 50% in. There's no way I'm finishing this tonight, I don't think. So I might have to just let go of the idea of adding another book to my finish list for the. Yeah, there's no way. There's 30 chapters in this. And I'm on 13, I think. Yeah. I don't think I'm finishing this tonight. But I'm having a good time. It's as good as everyone says it is. And that's great because the other two witch books I read this week, one ended up being a little better than I thought it was, and the other one I DNF'd for the second time. So I needed a win, you know? I really needed a win. I think on this next sprint, I'm going to update my vlog because I haven't done that. It's flying around me. Got my little vlog camera up there, so I'll update that, and then I will keep reading because I do want to get as close to finish as possible with this book. Hello, are you okay? She's very cuddly tonight. Okay, this next sprint is going to be our last one because it is 8:20. And so by the time this is done, it'll be a little after 9. And I'm a sleepy girl. I would really like to go to bed kind of early tonight. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Hello. How did everyone's last sprint go? I am on page 195, halfway through chapter 17, and things are happening. We've had an almost kiss, which to me is an underrated scene. Like everyone waits for the build up to the actual kiss in a romance novel, and it's like sometimes it's a really big moment, but there's something to be said about the almost kiss. I'm loving the energy of this book. Yes, I am still liking it. I'm having a very good time. It's I had a little bit of a hard time with, like, the amount of, like, whimsy in House in the Cerulean Sea, and so I like that this has a little less of that and that there is, um, semi-frequent interjections of, like, real life things. What I mean by that is, um like, there's been references to her and Jamie going to college and some of their experiences there. There was a moment where she's talking to Primrose about her mom and her grandma, and Primrose had basically told her that and, like, not in, like, an unkind way, but had told her that her mom didn't want to have children, but, like, didn't really have a choice, and she was kind of reflecting on her own about how she wishes her mom had a choice and that she thinks everyone should have that choice, and so there's, like, little moments like that that bring you back into some real life things, but, like, not too much, if that makes sense, and I'm really enjoying that balance between that and then the magical aspects of the book. You turn the brightness down so my eyes aren't just blue screens. Oh, yeah, reading 40 pages, that's fantastic. You're reading It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. Is this a sci-fi? Because that title's giving sci-fi. Also, no apologies needed. Anytime you're here is right on time. Yeah, it does, but I like that at least so far, I'm 62% in. But I like that right now the harder themes seem to be kind of laced and, like, woven in rather than being, like, really heavy hitting so far, and so I really appreciate that. You know what? Sometimes it's fair. I spent the first sprint not reading at all. I was on TikTok for the first, like, 50 minutes, and I was eating dinner, so sometimes it's just like that, you know? But that was the last sprint, but I'm down to gab for the next, like, 15 minutes or so. It's an autobiographical graphic novel. Oh, I love the idea of that. I really wanna get into graphic novels next year. I'm actually debating trading in my current iPad and getting an iPad mini for that express purpose of reading more graphic novels. I read let me see. I can, like, see the cover in my head, but I can't think of the title. Let me try and look it up here. Let's see. Okay, it was a book by Robin Ha, Almost American Girl, which I'm now questioning how I read that because it's also a graphic, novel that's a memoir, and it's, yeah, Almost American Girl by Robin Ha, and it's about Robin suddenly moving from Seoul, Korea to Huntsville, Alabama, and I think she was, like, 11 maybe when that happened, 12, and it was just, like, a very, obviously large change for her, kind of traumatic, and it was, like, this whole thing, but it was incredible, and after that, I was like, "Wow, I want more of this." I feel like I listened to this on audio a little bit, but maybe I didn't. I remember getting through it really fast, but really, really enjoying it. Let's see. To assert the fate of what life has happened. Let me close this because we're not doing another sprint. You know what? And all in good time. All in good time. Yeah, I want to. I've also thought about maybe trying to enter into manga a little bit. It's intimidating to me. It's very intimidating to me. And I think it's just because every series that I've ever come across from, like, friends or, like, even my siblings who love them are always, like, 100 issues deep, if not more, and I'm like, "This is a saga." But I feel like my library has a decent amount. Yeah, and so many of them are super long, and it's like they'll have, like, a bunch of issues, but then they're also, like, 2 to 300 pages a piece, and you're like, "I know a lot of this is photo, but I still have to read the text box in here." No, yeah. I'll let you guys know if I, dive more into that. It will be 2025 before that happens. I have a lot of things to finish before the end of the year, but I'm interested. I'm very interested, and I'm actually opening Libby right now. I feel like my library has a decent amount available. I know physically they do, but I think this for me would be an ebook experience for sure. My library has a copy of None of This Is True, the audiobook available. I'm borrowing that right now. I've been putting off reading that book for a hot minute. Same thing with Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. I have both of those things on my shelves, and I think they're gonna be a part of, like, my 10 before the end list. Some slice of life romance manga aren't as long. It's generally what I read. Oh, yeah. Mangas read pretty quickly. Okay. Yeah, I've heard that. I guess what I fear is that I will, like, try to skim them too much, but I think having the, like, imagery will help me not do that. Yeah, the Lisa Jewell book. I honestly, like, the hype kills me. I was talking about this with Nicole the other day about how if I don't get to a book in the beginning of the hype train, like, before I see, like, too much content about it, I just won't read it. And, like, not forever, but, like, it'll be a long time. Like, that book's been out for over a year, and I still haven't read it, and it's just because I saw so much commentary on it, and I wanted to, like, flush that from my brain before I read it so that I could just kind of experience it on my own. Curious what you think of this, planning on trying Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Yeah, I, really want to read that one in particular soon because I got approved for an art copy of Gillian McAllister's next book. And I just kind of applied for it on a whim. I shouldn't even say I applied for it. They emailed me and were like, "Hey, you've read other mystery thrillers from us before. We think you'll like this." And I had been thinking about Wrong Place, Wrong Time just because the concept of it sounds so interesting to me. And so I said yes, but I was like, I feel like I should also read that. Part of it is because it's on my shelf. I think I got it from Katie's Pango, maybe, or from somebody else. I know I got it from Pango. But just like the concept of I don't always love, time-based stories, like, time manipulation stories, but the idea of her getting this time back to, like, be with her son and try to figure out, like, what went wrong. I love in thrillers when there's commentary about parenting in the way that, like, after your kids are a certain age, it's not to say that you don't parent them anymore, but so much of what they do doesn't have a ton to do with you, and I think this story is gonna be a really good example of that. Like, a 16, 17-year-old kid, like, you've imparted what you can impart, and you can still try, but if they're not willing to take it, like, there's not much you can do about that, so her son being on the hook for a muck duck, if you will, if you know that reference, is very interesting to me. It's honestly it's a problem. I should learn to not respond to some of the emails, so, like, the way it happened wasn't even really intentional for me. I got on NetGalley looking for, like, 1 or 2 books, like, back in, like, 2018 when I was a little baby bookstagrammer. My account was, like, a year old, and I think I had, like, 500 people subscribed to me. It was not. Like, my Instagram was so tiny. And honestly, it still is. Like, it's not it's not huge. Um, but I was looking for, like, 1 or 2 books at the time that I just really, really wanted to read and I was really excited about, and I got approved for them, and then I unknowingly kept reading from the same, like, 3 imprints for a while, and I guess they just pulled my email from my NetGalley account and they would just reach out and they'd be like, "Hey, so this book's coming out and you liked this one. Do you wanna read it?" And I would just say yes to everything because that's so exciting. I'm like, "Why do these people know who I am? I'm nobody, but thank you." And now it's spiraled and out of control. Like, when I found Kindle Unlimited and I realized how many indie authors do, like, massive ARC campaigns, and I started reading so many of those. Those are more fun to me because I there's so much more of a sense of community around that it's fun, but those I feel more pressure for, number 1, because those authors can be, anyone from, like, somebody with, like, 1,200 followers on Instagram to, 40,000. And so some of them have various amounts of, like, pages right on KU, and they're trying to hit these goals, and they so heavily rely on, like, bookstagrammers, sharing their stuff, and so I definitely feel more pressure with those for sure, and because I usually on those because so much of their stuff's available on Kindle Unlimited, I really only sign up for the authors I've usually already read 1 book from and have loved their work, or I see, like, a ton of potential, like, if it's, like, a debut and I'm like, this wasn't great, but it wasn't bad, but, like, I can see, like, with more time, more repetition, obviously, you're gonna get, like, great at this, like, when you kinda see that kinda stuff, and so I love doing those because seeing everybody post, like, "Oh, I applied for this, like, hope I get it," and then finding out that they get it, my favorite thing is when you end up in impromptu group chats on Instagram with people who have the same arc as you, but I've had to slow down on those because I just wish that indie authors could publish less frequently. And obviously it's a choice, but I think for a lot of them, obviously their goal is to have that be their primary income and for them to be able to quit their job, but they can really only do that if they're hitting, certain levels on like a pages read for Kindle Unlimited or certain sales numbers. And so there seems to be this frequency where they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a new book out every like 3 or 4 months." And I'm just like, "Yeah, but what if you didn't? What if you did a maximum of 2 a year?" And for some of them, their quality is not suffering. So it's, like, not even that, but it's, like, I will ARC read for them, but, like, I will get the book a week before it comes out, and, like, generally speaking, not complaining about that because something about having that level of pressure and that time frame is really nice, but I'm like, "Could you give me 2 weeks? Because it's, like, a week to read the book and then a week to come up with content and, like, film some stuff, because 7 days is not a lot, and sometimes it's not even 7, sometimes it's, like, 5, and that's intense for me. Yeah, the pressure to say yes, specifically um with traditional publishing, I feel more pressure to say yes. Because with indies, it's like I'm the one who reached out and I'm the one who started the conversation, if you will, even though it's like not really a conversation, it's me filling out their Google form or their form stack. But with those, I feel not less pressure. I feel less pressure to say yes because I'm inherently saying yes by signing up. But with when trad publishers end up in my email, I'm like, I feel so much pressure to say yes, even if like, cause I get that initial excitement, but then it's like, if I were to, like, wait 3 or 4 days and then read the synopsis again, I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't know." The one thing I feel like I have gotten really good about, or I used to be really good about that I would like to be good about again, is clocking when something in a synopsis gives me pause and replying in kind. Like, sometimes I'll reply and go, "Oh, I don't know if I have space to read that," especially if they email me late. Like, sometimes I'll get emailed, like, 2 or 3 weeks before the book comes out, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm gonna get that done in time." And so sometimes I'll commit to, like, "Oh, I can do a, you know, pub day story post of like, 'Hey, this book is out, request at your library, go order an ebook,' whatever." But there have been a couple where I've gotten it and I'm like, I don't wanna read that, and I don't know why you thought I would wanna read that based on the other things I've read, but it's been nice to be able to go, "I know someone who would eat this shit up. You should give them a copy of this." Like, sending that, that's always kind of fun. I feel like I'm inadvertently giving a friend a present. Yeah, all the arcs I get are indie, not trad, but we're trying to I doubt that it's not that they don't want you. It's such a weird thing. I feel like now we're getting to a point where it's fairly uniform and the imprints are being very open about either what they're looking for or that it's like random selection or like semi-random. So for example, it's weird. I never thought I would be a person who would be in multiple influencer groups for like traditional publishing, but I have found myself there. And the 2 that I'm in right now that I absolutely love, I'm in, The Hive from Harlequin Trade Press, and then, Discover Forever from Read Forever, who's a part of Grand Central Publishing. And both of their signups are very popular, but they're very upfront about, like, what they're looking for, and so when you don't make it, oftentimes it's not because you didn't meet the criteria, it's just because they got so many applications, and they encourage people to do it again. I really like that Discovers is not like a permanent, you're just in it kind of thing. They do theirs on I think a 6-month rotation or 9 months, something like that. Um there are some perks that you get to keep, like, literally forever, which is very nice, but for the most part, they cycle through, and so you have to reapply each time. Like, I did not make it the first time, but I did the second time that I applied for it. But they're also really good about just responding if you email them for stuff, and that's the one thing I learned this year because I never used to be a person who would email publishers about books I'm interested in. But I got 2 books recently from Penguin Random House that I emailed and I asked, I said, "Hey, I'm interested in these. I'm excited about these books for XYZ reasons." Gave them my, like, stats for my Instagram for the last, like, I think 30 or 45 days from the time I had emailed them, and the key is putting your address in the email. I have learned that. I put my address in there and then those books just showed up like 2 weeks later. Never got a response from them, and I'm not expecting one, right? Like, because these imprints get, so many emails, like, I can't imagine what it would be like if they actually had to reply. So it made, I'm sure, their life easier, and I'm sure there's an intern somewhere or someone whose job it is to, go through the inbox and make the list of people the books are going out to, and I can't imagine, like, how overwhelming that can be at a time, and so it's been really cool to have that happen and realize that, like, I could just do that, but putting your address in there is the key, because if they have to reply back to get your address, like, you're not getting that book, because it's just a simple act of, like, adding more work onto their already large workflow. How do I give us 5 days to read and post? Freaking out. I don't think I'll read arcs. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I think, what I really like are the authors who are upfront about when they're coming out. Like, I actually felt bad because I did not get to read this one in time, and, her PA was really good about it, but Stephanie Archer, I had signed up for an arc of The Wingman, which is her most recent title. The arc sign up for that one, I think, happened in June or July. It happened, like, maybe it happened in July. Sign up happened in July, notices went out in August. That book was a September or October release. I think it was the first week of October release. The arcs went out, like, a week or 2 into September, and she said, like, in the sign-up form, she's like, "This is the release date, but I plan to send you the arcs, like, 3 weeks early." And so that was nice, so people could already kind of pre-plan and know what to expect. I wish more authors would do that or just be upfront and say, like, your turnaround time is going to be 5 to 7 days. Because if you're open to that, then that's fine, but it sucks when you don't know that and then you're doing that, but a lot of them publish on the same days and they try to do it during, like, really popular times. Like, I remember July and August at one point looking at, like, I had made a calendar entry for a lot of the ones I was just interested in, not even ones I did signups for. And there were some Tuesdays and Thursday, Friday is a big day too, and there were some of those days where I would have 6 titles on the same day, and those were just from the indies, and I was like, "This is insane. This is insane." Listen, I tried. The community feels less community-like, honestly, right now, and so I've been trying to do that with the people who I've actually fostered relationships with, because why not? And yeah, it was kind of weird at first, but once I mentally was like, "You're just sending this to an inbox into the void, and maybe someone will read it, and maybe someone won't." But it's just very much like a you miss 100% of the shots you don't take situation. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, you know? Yeah, you just gotta put it in there, and then they'll do it. The other thing that really helps is putting the title that you're looking for in the subject line, and then again in bold in the body is very helpful. Don't mind if they let us know ahead of time as we move on. Yeah, it's just when they don't say it's hard, and I'm like, "I very much want to support you. I really do, but you're making it real hard." Yeah, it was insane. Like, I remember when, Fucking Sweet came out, that was, I think, at the end of July or beginning of August. No, I'm a liar, that was a September release. But I remember the original date was in July, and I hadn't moved it yet, and I was looking at my calendar, and I was like, "There are 9 books coming out on this Tuesday between indie and traditional publishing, and I'm not gonna be able to get to them all in a timely manner." And so I just didn't sign up for ARCs for a lot of them because I was like, I just knew I was like, I'm not gonna make it. There's no way. There's no way. I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow being the start of November. It is affectionately called NetGalley November, and that is just the idea of you going through your NetGalley of all the things that you need to read. And I have so much. Fortunately, some of it I have physically. Like, I actually kind of have a stack. Let me show you all. Ooh, oh no. Okay. Try that again. Okay. Some of these things I've had for a little while, and the dates are coming up, and so now I'm like, "Oh, you need to do that." Like this, Puck and Prejudice by Leah Riley. This comes out on November date, please. 12th, November 12th. Um, and I'm not really sure how this is supposed to work yet. I've read the first chapter or 2, and I haven't quite gotten the vibes yet, but essentially this hockey player has been recovering. He professional hockey player from the States, and he had, I think, leukemia. And when the book opens, he's in remission, has gone through like chemo and stuff, and he's in England visiting his sister because he can't play in the season that's going on right now because he's just not recovered enough to even begin to physically be strong enough to compete. And he's supposed to drive home at one point after being out at a pub with her. He was not drinking and driving. He was just tired. Like, he just went to hang out. And something happens, and then I think he's gonna end up back in, the 1800s time with her. And this is the female main character's name is Lizzie, but is not the Lizzie from Pride and Prejudice, but it's like a play on that. So I'm excited to read that. I have tried to read a Leah Riley before, and I did not have a good time, and I did not remember until I was telling my friend Nicole that I had this book, and she's like, "You did not like the last experience you had." And I was like, "Well, we're gonna try again." Because I do try, unless somebody does something that's super egregious, I try to give an author at least 2 tries, if not 3, depending on why I didn't have a good time before. And this premise is just so different, I think, than the last book I tried to read that maybe her writing style will work more for me in this. So I am going to read that. I also have Love and Bloom by Lucy Eden. This comes out on, I think, November 12th as well. They really got to make the dates bigger on this. Yeah, November 12th. This one is about, think her name was Emma? Yeah, she's a publicist in Atlanta, and her life goes from, it says, near perfect to a monumental disaster. It says, one day to break up with her boyfriend, get fired, and inherit a farm. It says, all that's left is for her to take the still smoking remains of her dignity and flee to her new farm in Green Acres, Georgia. Says, however, Emma's new country life is anything but peaceful. The quirky locals seem to inexplicably dislike her, and farming proves way messier than she expected. Adding to her frustration is Dan Pednikar, the farm's infuriating, handsome manager who doubts her ability to handle even the simplest tasks. Says Emma soon discovers that the farm isn't exactly what it seems. It doesn't sell anything, making her wonder if it's just a glorified petting zoo or if Dan is hiding something much bigger. With suspiciously named shops like 4 and 20 Blackbirds lining Main Street, it's clear that the whole town might be in on a secret. But when the farm and the livelihood of the townsfolk is threatened, Emma must come up with a plan to save it. Because when you farm around, it's just a matter of time before everyone finds out. I love that play on fuck around and find out. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she just inherited a weed farm and doesn't realize it. So, I love the big city girl ends up in the country trope. This feels like, I don't know, something about it gives me like Alexis from Schitt's Creek a little bit in the way that it was like, I think it was What Happened One Summer with Tessa Bailey, like that kind of vibe. But instead of her being like flighty and ditzy, it's more so like she's like overworked power girl. You know what it actually reminds me of now that I say that is a book I read this summer that I absolutely loved. Uh is it Dust Storm by Maggie Gates? I always get the titles mixed up as far as which one's the first book and which one's the second one, but it's the first book in that series. I'm pretty sure it's Dust Storm. Yeah. Dust Storm's the first one, Downpour's the second. Dust Storm was like that, where a girl who is a publicist has this big blow up with like a major client who's like this massive actress. And so her fiance, who also works with her and is a part of the firm, has her transferred to this farm outside of Austin, Texas, that is trying to like do like a whole rebrand situation. And so they put her in charge of that in a way for her to still work, but like lay low. It's so great. Plot twist, she never leaves the farm. It was a great time though. So I'm excited for that, and I'm kind of hoping for similar vibes. But obviously, it's gonna be more small town, less cowboy. And then I have two books that I am very much looking forward to, and one of which that like I wanted to start earlier this week and I had to like force myself not to. This one doesn't come out till January 14th, but it's Flirting with Disaster by Naina Kumar. She actually lives here in Texas, so it's always fun to see bits of that in her stories. I just read, let me see what the name of the book is. I keep forgetting the title, even though I had such a good time with it. I have to look it up every time. Say You'll Be Mine was her debut, came out last year. I had no idea, but it was incredible. I listened to the audio in a day and a half, I want to say, and had the best time. This one is said to be um like a Sweet Home Alabama retelling kind of thing. And that is so exciting to me. It follows this woman who, yeah, she goes back to her hometown in attempt to get a divorce from her husband. She's about to get married to this guy who is perfectly nice and checks off all the things in her boxes on her list, but I don't think that spark is there, and I think we're gonna have some good old times with the ex-husband. I think there's like a big storm or something, and they just kind of get like trapped together. I can't wait. Yeah, I haven't read this yet, but I read her first one a couple days ago. And then I have one that I know is going to break me, but I'm kind of in the mood to be sad, and that's Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. This one's about a girl who loses her best friend And she's like dealing with a bunch of grief. And then I forget what the guy's thing is that he has going on. I do wish that there was a way to see the synopsis on these because they put their dealie on the back, and I'm like, guys, give me a synopsis somewhere, please, so I can read it to the people. Oh, okay, it's in the front on this one. Yeah, it says Lenny's a bit of a mess at the moment. Her best friend Lou recently passed away after a battle with cancer, and her death has left Lenny feeling completely lost. She's avoiding her concerned parents and the apartment she shared with Lou and the list of things she's supposed to do to help her live again. The only thing she can do is temporary babysitting gigs, and luckily she just landed a great one, helping overworked single mom Reese and her precocious daughter Ainsley. It's not perfect. Ainsley's uncle Miles always seems to be around and is kind of a huge jerk. But if Lenny acts like she has it all together, maybe no one will notice she's falling apart. Miles sees right through her, though. Turns out he knows a lot about grief, and surprisingly, he offers her a proposition. He helps her complete everything on her live again list. If she'll help him connect with Ainsley and overcome his complicated relationship with Reese. Lenny doubts anything can fill what? I think this was to fill the hole. Lenny doubts anything can fill the hole Lou has left behind, but she begins to spend more time with Miles. Um, Lenny is surprised to discover that sometimes losing everything is only the first step to finding yourself and love again, which I'm very excited for this, but I'm nervous. I lost my best friend in 2018, and her death absolutely just like rocked me. It was not from cancer, but it was from like a medical emergency situation. And so sometimes reading stuff like this is like very hard, but I feel like this is going to be cathartic. Um, I also love a book with a list, like subplot, whether that's like a spicy lessons list or like a bucket list situation, or as she said, like a live again kind of situation. So I'm excited to read this, but I know it's probably going to break me. It probably is. I have both of these last two. Actually, I have all three of these on my Kindle too, so I will knock them off the neck outer list, even though I have them physically. So I'll probably do a hybrid situation. Yeah, okay, so you get it. I'm sorry to hear that. And yeah, I fully expect it to like absolutely wreck me. Man. It's so tough. Cancer's the worst. The absolute worst. I keep picking up books that have that as a not a subplot line, but like it is like a factor in the books. I was talking about earlier in the sprint how I had recently read. I'm gonna hold this up, even though this is not the title, but it's from the same series. I had read Power Play by Lo Everett, and that one is about a woman who she has a one night stand with this baseball player, and then a year later they come back into each other's lives and they fall in love and do the thing. But one of the subplot lines is that her mom passed away from, I think, ovarian cancer, and the subplot line is about whether or not she's gonna get tested for like the genetic testing for like BRCA and all of that. And he like helps her through that. I have never seen a book handle such a heavy topic with such grace and still feel very hopeful, and it like didn't feel dark the whole time. It felt heavy for a lot of it, but it did not feel dark. And I also really appreciated that she chose to go the happy ever after route on that and not a happy for now, because I think that would have broke me. It was good. So if you need like a cathartic story that has that as a part of the plot line, it's Force Play, and it is is that one a hockey romance? No, that one's baseball. Baseball. So if you're trying to dive into sports romance, not a bad one. And that one's one that's very light on the actual sport. So if you're like trying to get into it, but you're like, I don't know how I feel about sports romance, I would recommend it just because it's not aggressively heavy on the sports. I'll put that in the chat so you guys can grab that if you want it. It is the fourth book in the series, but they are interconnected standalones, so you can read them in whatever order. I came to the series with the second book in the series, and I actually read the second book, had not read the first one, and then I went back later and read the first one after I read books 2 and 3. So you can read them in whatever order. They're a really good time. I love how I said I was gonna talk for an additional 15 or 20 minutes, and it's fully been a half hour, and it's like 9:47 now. It's so late, and I need to go to bed. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I don't think I sprinted this much in such a short amount of time in a long time, so I appreciate you guys for coming back each time. I will be doing some more sprints in November. It is not your fault. I'm so glad because I didn't really yap this whole time. I was very good about keeping the yapping to a minimum, so it's nice to get that out. I took off for a 4-day, 5-day weekend in the middle of November for a trip that's not happening, but I've, like, never been more excited for a trip to not happen because I'm gonna read that whole time, and there will be sprints. There for sure will be sprints during that time. Nicole also would like us to buddy read a, like, Christmas novella or multiple novellas over sprints. I don't know if that's gonna happen in November or December, but I will post about it in the various places where that happens, so if you are subscribed but don't have the little notification bell on, I would recommend turning those on so you get alerted when I schedule the sprints. But thank you all so much for being here. It was such a good time, and I will see you guys in a video soon and maybe some sprints soon too.